Through the month of October, my local amusement park has a huge event called Fright Night. The park is doused in decorations and lights of orange and green, purple and red. Actors dressed like zombies, killer clowns, and possessed kids wander around and scare patrons as they pass. It's a tradition for a group of friends and me to go and enjoy the haunted houses. This year, my friend sent me a link from the park's website with a special announcement. Anyone going to Fright Night could win a free season pass for next year if they took a picture of 30 actors in the park, not counting those in the haunted house. Now recently, the prices for tickets have spiked to the extreme price of $50 a pop, and tossing that on top of the expensive amusement park food and a quarter of my paycheck, poof, gone baby, gone. Since I've put myself on a budget so I can move out of my parents' house and get a place of my own before I turn 25, I'm 23 right now, I've pretty much cut having fun out of my life if it goes above 20. In other words, I accept your challenge, greedy amusement park. We went one rainy Saturday night, and I let my friends know about the offer. In the beginning, it was as easy as pie, as the tunnel which leads to the park has almost a dozen actors creeping in the thick artificial fog. 11 pictures so far, only 19 to go. Unfortunately, the further into the park we went, the fewer actors there were scattered throughout. After the first 2 haunted houses, only 5 more photos were added to the collection. I wasn't too worried, since I still had a few hours to find 14 actors. I got a bit more successful in the next 2 hours, but I got a lot of repeat pictures and some offended normals who I might have thought were zombies just because of a deep limb or strikingly pale skin. I apologized and kept it moving. Little more than an hour left, and I had 26 photos. My friends aimed for another haunted house with a long, curving line that had to be at least a 20-minute wait. I told them I'd skip this one and use the time to hunt down the last few actors. That way, the rest of the night I could just relax. I wandered around the foggy park, looking in every corner and really eyeing some of the hooded figures who walked by. I had walked into the side of the park where a haunted attraction was closed due to the rain and traffic was minimal. The noise of the park, playful music, and laughing groups of people echoed down the dimly lit path. I wasn't really paying attention, doubtful any actors were there looking for people to spook, when I heard a rustling sound. There was a closed-off children's coaster where a tiny train would go in circles. Tall straws of hay blocked it off, but you could still see between some gaps, and I peeked through to see a dark figure crouched on the ground. Honestly, at the time, I thought it was an actor taking a break. For a second, I wasn't going to take a photo since it might have been intrusive, but I was so close to 30, and if I gave up, I would have completely wasted this night and money for nothing. I angled my phone until there weren't any strands of hay in the way of the camera and tapped the button. It flashed twice, but it was too fast to get a look at the figure. Whoever it was, though, jerked at the flash, jumped up and charged the wall of hay like a linebacker. I dashed down the wet pathway as the sound of heavy, stomping feet chased me. I nearly crashed into a group of friends as I entered the busy part of the park, and I looked behind me to just see a group of friends roaming around. My phone buzzed, with a message from my friends saying that they were at the potato patch waiting for me. I took one more look around me and went to meet up with my friends. Heh, wimp! My buddy Franco laughed when I told him the story, and I forced a laugh back. Yeah, I guess he got me. I mumbled and shoved a cheese-smothered fry into my mouth. They continued to fling insults at me when my eyes wandered to a closed gift shop across from our table. Under the shadow to the side of the shop, a figure stood facing us. I felt as if their gaze was targeting me. I wanted to point it out, but I knew my friends would just bag on me again, so I tried not to notice as I continued to eat. By the time we finished and headed to the last attraction, they were still standing there, completely still, like a mannequin. The last haunted house was called the Maze of Shadows. I remember the year before would get pitch black to the point where it was hard to even see. We huddled together as we entered the thick fog of the maze. Random doors and sliding windows in the walls would slam open with actors screeching and lurching like they were about to attack. Of course, they weren't allowed to touch anybody. We walked on wet soil, taking turn after turn as the light waned slowly away until we entered the deep darkness. I was holding on to the shoulder of my friend in front of me, but they started to walk faster and faster and they just slipped from my grip. "Brian, slow down," I said with my hand stretched out in front of me. I bumped into the walls like a bowling ball on the bumpers. Suddenly, the person from behind me grabbed onto my hoodie and I jumped. "Whoa, excuse me, no touchy please," I joked. They ignored me and an arm wrapped around my waist, their hand groping around. My face turned red and my lungs grew tight. "Hey, get off me, man, get off!" With flailing arms and balled fists, I charged forward. I think I landed a hit right on their nose, or at least something that felt like it, and their arm retreated. I kept swinging my fist until I pushed through a heavy curtain where my friends were waiting. "Seriously?" Brian laughed. "Have you always been this much of a baby?" Everyone laughed until I told them someone was groping me, which made them freeze. Weirdly, though, no one came out behind us. After waiting for 5 minutes wanting to confront the person, we finally walked to the entrance to see that they had placed a sign reading, "Closed." We must have been the last group to go in. "I wonder if it was an actor?" Franco guessed. I got queasy thinking about the figure I saw. Should we report it? I mean, that's assault and against the rules," Brian said. "Whatever, let's just go. I still need 3 more pictures and it's free rides all next summer," I said with forced enthusiasm. I started walking to the entrance, forcing the cold feeling on my back away. Luckily, I got 5 more photos as we exited the park. Maybe there'd be a bonus gift if you got more than 30. Brian dropped me off at home and I flopped onto my bed, pulling my phone out of my pocket to open Instagram where I had to post the photos with a special hashtag. As I tapped the photos, I noticed one I didn't recognize. And then I thought, I never looked at the picture of that figure behind the hay wall. I went to my photos to get a better look at the enlarged image. The figure was slim and wore a hooded black trench coat with white high-top sneakers and dark blue jeans. They were facing away from the camera, but hovered over something that still burned into my mind a week later. The body of a young girl laid on the wet ground. Part of her pale face was held between the figure's fingers like a piece of tissue as they cut it off with a knife. Half of her blood-covered skull was exposed, along with her huge eye with a green iris that I could still see in my mind staring directly at me. I deleted the photo. I wish I hadn't, so I could show the police what I saw, because since that fright night, my dog barks at my bedroom window as if there's something or someone there trying to get in.